Good afternoon. I'm here with Commissioner Garcia, Mayor Rigby is there if necessary, Mayor of City of LaPorte, Latrice Babin, Chief Christensen, and Dr. Babin is the director of our Pollution Control Department, and they're available to answer questions. So I'm grateful, first of all, for everybody being here, for the quick response, obviously. Around 7:30 this morning, routine inspection at Dow noticed venting of hydroxyethyl acrylate, HEA, emanating from a tank truck trailer. That tank truck trailer contains the HEA, and HEA is a material that can cause a reaction. So within that material, there's also inhibitors that normally prevent there from being a reaction, but of course, there was this venting. Shortly after they noticed it, Dow officials requested an evacuation of the employees, ordered an evacuation, and contacted all of the emergency response personnel. We don't know yet how the materials inside that tanker became unstable. It is a silver tanker truck like the ones you see going down the highway. Essentially, the venting has stopped by now, but what is not clear is whether it's stopped because the reaction has stopped, or whether it's stopped because there is so much reaction, so much heat and pressure being built up within that tanker that it's clogging that vent. So as a result of all of this, City of LaPorte ordered a shelter in place, and also for several areas, and also ordered an evacuation for the closest area, a half-a-mile radius. Why? The shelter in place is in the event of air quality issues. At this point, Pollution Control Department has been monitoring the air consistently. They're doing so. The readings are on readyharris.org. They have not identified any readings that are dangerous or out of the ordinary. So that shelter in place was lifted. The evacuation order is because those materials, that HEA that is in that tanker truck, if it is in fact continuing to react with itself, it could eventually cause a fire, could eventually cause an explosion. And so for that reason, there has been this request that the folks within a half-a-mile radius evacuate the area. There have been no injuries reported. As I said, the air readings so far are fine. Right now, as we speak, Dow Chemical is sending 2 emergency personnel from Dow Chemical into the facility to do thermal assessments of the tanker truck so that we can all have a better idea of whether the reaction is decreasing or whether it's increasing. There's also 2 drones that are trying to take the heat signature from above, but those trucks are insulated, so we don't know whether they're going to be able to get that heat signature. As soon as we have that information, we'll share it with the press. This may be something that if they get a reading and the facility, the temperature is going down within that truck, we'll know that we're perhaps on the way out of the incident, and they can figure out a way, all the emergency personnel that's working here can figure out a way to contain that and basically close out the incident. If instead the temperatures are going up, are still high, then we'll have to reassess. And of course, it's a potentially dangerous situation for the folks that are going in there to take the readings. What's at risk? Mostly in this area around this tanker truck, mostly it's industry. There is a handful of homes, around 10 homes in the northern part of the perimeter. The LaPorte Police Department has gone over there home by home already twice, asking them to leave. There's 2 people that refuse to evacuate. Of course, they're not, they can't force them to leave, but they've been very, very clear that folks within that perimeter need to leave for their safety. Next to the tanker truck right now, that is the concern, there are 2 other tanker trucks, one with the same product, another with methyl methacrylate. Those, in addition to that, There's 2 other production facilities within that half-a-mile radius. There's the Carrere Bayport plant, and there's the Goodyear Bayport plant. And those 2 plants are still running because you can't shut those down very quickly. Those are the types of plants it takes days to be able to wind them down. Both plants only have a handful of people there just to be able to keep them running safely. And the plants are blast proof, but of course it's a concern. In terms of a worst case scenario, there are of course materials within those plants. There are other materials within the Dow Chemical facility. And so what I'm asking and I'm urging from Dow Chemical, from the first responders, is making sure that we're erring on the side of caution when it comes to drawing that perimeter. Worst case scenario could be an explosion. We could hear loud noises. There could be a fire. The materials that are in there could burn off. If it burns, in some ways it's less bad because you're not having the most dangerous chemicals present a threat to health. Instead, they're burning off. But of course, it could cause respiratory issues. So again, that's why we have that perimeter right now. And as we speak, as we're walking in here, and as soon as I go back, I will verify with everybody to make sure that the best assessment of the chemicals that are in there, that perimeter is drawn wide enough. Now, we know what materials are in there based on what Dow Chemical tells us, right? So we just learned of a new one. So what I'm saying is I need to know what the threat is and make sure that we're being conservative, erring on the side of caution so that we protect folks around. But they're taking the reading, and it may well be that we're on our way out of this incident. So let's hope that is the case instead. In terms of what we're doing, lots of first responders here from La Porte, of course, the commissioner and his team, DHS, Fire Marshal, our Emergency Operations Center is activated at TransStar, and we have folks there that are connecting over here via Zoom. We have set this perimeter of a half a mile. We're watching to see. There's been water until recently. Water was being poured onto the tanks to keep them cool. So watching where that water runoff is going to make sure that we're containing any possible environmental impacts, and then now sending that personnel to go in there and take the temperature readings. Fire Marshal's office has drones in the air. Pollution control's continuing the air monitor. Public health is also plugged in. And now we just need residents to please avoid the area. Anybody who's within that perimeter to leave, which we believe all but two residents have. Most importantly, to listen to the emergency personnel. As we have more information, we'll share it with the community. If we need additional evacuation orders, we'll share it. That would mean it's an emergency situation. And so we're just asking folks in the La Porte area to be vigilant. As always, anyone who wants to take a look at what's happening, especially the air monitoring feeds, can visit readyharris.org. I'll repeat my remarks briefly in Spanish. Estoy aquí con los trabajadores de emergencia. Esta mañana, alrededor de las 7:30 de la mañana, Dow Chemical vio en una inspección rutinaria, notaron que había ventilación, desfogue de un químico, HEA. Ese químico está emanando de un tanque insulado, aislado, de esos tanques que se ven en la carretera normalmente. Son delgados, cilíndricos básicamente. Estaba emanando este químico, HEA. Eso sucede cuando el químico está activado. Normalmente hay materiales dentro de ese químico, hay otros químicos que previenen las reacciones. Es un químico muy reactivo, entonces normalmente eso lo estabiliza. Ahora, con estos vapores que estaban emanando del tanque, vemos que había una reacción que podía ser peligrosa. Hace poco se detuvo esos vapores, dejaron de salir. Lo que no sabemos es si eso fue porque ya la reacción se detuvo o porque la reacción ha acelerado tanto, hay tanta presión, tanta temperatura que está tapando la válvula. Entonces, ese es el tema. Este químico muy reactivo puede causar explosiones, puede causar incendios, entonces por eso es una situación pues un poco delicada, bastante delicada. Esta mañana la ciudad de la Porte ordenó que se refugiaran el área alrededor porque habían preocupaciones que pudiera haber problemas de la calidad del aire. Hemos estado tomando medidas todas estas horas, las medidas están en readyharris.org y no hemos visto nada fuera de lo normal. Entonces por eso se levantó esa orden de refugio, de quedarse en casa. Sí está todavía en pie una orden de evacuación a media milla de Dow Chemical. ¿Por qué? Porque este tanque podría explotar, podría causar un incendio y tenemos que proteger a los residentes en el área. Solo hay alrededor de 10 casas, ya ha ido la policía 2 veces, casa por casa, a pedir que por favor la gente evacúe. Hay 2 residentes que se rehúsan a salir, pero los demás todos se han ido. No han habido ninguna lesiones, la situación actual la estamos observando. En este momento Dow Chemical, en lo que hablamos, están enviando 2 trabajadores de emergencia para evaluar la temperatura en el tanque. Eso nos permitirá ver si está bajando la temperatura, sabemos que la reacción ha terminado o está ya por terminar y podemos manejar la situación, la tendremos bajo control. Si la temperatura está alta o sigue subiendo, significa que continúa ese potencial de una explosión, de un incendio, lo cual podría ser peligroso. ¿Por qué? Porque hay industria alrededor. Al lado exactamente de ese tanque hay otro tanque con el mismo material y uno adicional que tiene otro material. Podría incendiarse. Además hay 2 plantas, la planta de Curare Bayport, la planta de Goodyear Bayport. Ambas plantas siguen activadas. Son plantas que tienen químicos que no se pueden simplemente desactivar de inmediato. Tardan días desactivar esas plantas de una manera segura. Entonces se ha evacuado la mayoría de los trabajadores de esas 2 plantas, pero hay todavía algunas personas simplemente para poder mantener las operaciones, que no haya ningún problema con esos químicos, que son químicos pues inestables. Entonces, si hubiera una explosión, sería más que nada incendios. Bueno, si hubiera una reacción más grande, posiblemente una explosión, posiblemente un incendio. Por eso se ha dibujado ese perímetro de media milla. El análisis es que los impactos no serían más de esa media milla, pero estoy evaluando, le he pedido exactamente antes de llegar aquí, volví a pedirle a Dow, volví a pedirle a los trabajadores de emergencia que por favor fueran muy conservadores en cuanto al perímetro, dibujarlo que sea lo suficientemente amplio para proteger a la comunidad. Cualquier impacto por los químicos que hay alrededor, hay un químico adicional dentro de Dow que también podría ser peligroso. Entonces eso lo vamos a volver a evaluar en cuanto termine esta rueda de prensa también, pero esperemos que ya la reacción esté terminando y podamos salir de esto. Ya veremos en cuanto tomen las medidas de la temperatura. En cuanto a lo que hemos hecho, bueno, estuvimos monitoreando el aire. Hay también drones que están tomando las medidas desde pues imágenes, intentando tomar temperatura desde arriba. Ahora los 2 trabajadores que están yendo a riesgo personal también para poder tomar la temperatura del tanque en sí, y había agua que estábamos intentando de bajar la temperatura en el tanque al cubrirlo con agua. Eso se ha detenido por ahora en lo que se toma la temperatura. Está nuestro departamento de bomberos, nuestro departamento de control de contaminación. Todas las lecturas de monitoreo del aire están en readyharris.org. Le pedimos a todos los residentes que eviten esta área, que por favor no estén dentro de este perímetro de media milla, es peligroso, y que estén al tanto de las noticias. Si hay que expandir el perímetro, cambiar cualquier cosa, los informaremos. En cambio, si hay buenas noticias, también las daremos lo más pronto posible. Agradezco a todos los trabajadores de emergencia y le doy una oportunidad al comisionado García que dé sus palabras también. Commissioner Garcia, thank you so much.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you, Judge, providing that very complete update. I do want to begin with this. This is a very active scene at this particular time. So I want to recognize that we do have first responders that are actively addressing the situation. So I want to thank the Harris County Fire Marshal's Office, Pollution Control Services. I want to thank Mayor Rigby, and he is in constant contact with the LaPorte first responders, inclusive of the Harris County Sheriff's Office. I've been on the phone with the Sheriff Gonzalez, and I want to thank the Houston Fire Department, who is providing support to Harris County at this time, and I've been on the phone with Chief Sam Peña. To that end, we want to make sure to keep our Our thoughts and prayers for our first responders out there. This is a very active, very dangerous situation, and as the judge alluded to, there's a potential of things still to happen. We hope that that won't be the case, but we know that life and property are currently at risk. I also want to recognize that this is there's a lot of lessons learned, and the Precinct 2 camp program is up and active. It is being monitored by my environmental team. I want to thank my staff. CAMP stands for the Community Air Monitoring Program that was established through the partnership through the American Chemistry Council, Texas Chemistry Council, the East Harris County Manufacturers Association, and the Houston Advanced Research Center. Everything related to that particular initiative is active. They are actively monitoring anything in our air, tracking it to make sure that there's no concerns there. And that, as the judge alluded to, is on Ready Harris, and we are transmitting that information as we receive it. As the judge indicated, Precinct 2 is very active. We're providing any support necessary that the city may need or that our fire marshal's office may require. But I also want to indicate that we will be tracking this from start to finish. This is just one of the many indications of the challenges that Precinct 2 constituents face on a daily basis. In fact, the lead of my environmental response team is a LaPorte constituent. She is at the tip of the spear for this initiative and for all other environmental related concerns when they emerge. And then lastly, I want to just indicate that the Dow chemical is an active part of this. I want to thank and recognize Brock Rock, who is providing us precise information. This is an indication of the collaboration between industry and first responders and local government. And so I want to thank Dow for them being engaged, involved, and being transparent with the circumstances as we understand them. We'll be providing more information as they develop. But again, I want to thank Judge Hidalgo for her leadership, and we'll continue to communicate as necessary. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll take some questions.
Judge, do you have any time frame on when an explosion may be ruled out, an hour or two? When do we expect Dow to come back and say, listen, the chemicals settled down and there's no threat?
They're taking the readings right now, so of course they may notice something that as they approach that could delay them. We hope within a handful of hours we will be able to have a reading and know that it's the chemical, the temperature is lowering. Even then, right, until that is completely contained and we issue the all clear, something could always happen with a chemical like that. So I don't want to promise a specific time frame. I know we'll have more information, barring an unforeseen obstacle. We'll have more information within a couple of hours that can tell us we're headed in one direction, we're headed in the other direction. And look, I understand the frustration of the uncertainty. It is a scary situation, and it's concerning for the folks that are going in there to take the reading. And so that's why it's important to to recognize the types of chemicals that are near these neighborhoods. That's why it's important for folks to be so proactive as they are being today, and we'll keep the community informed with any detail we learn.
On that note, I heard you speak a little bit about this, saying that it took a while, or we had to wait until Dow told us what the chemicals were. This has been part of the conversation for years in this area. Do you think that these companies should have to report the chemicals they have on site?
We've been working really hard to try and bridge that gap. So, we've made additional environmental investments, and this was an initiative that Commissioner Garcia led as well, is to make sure that our Fire Marshal's Office, our Pollution Control Department, has the monitoring tools so we're not guessing as to the quality of air, water, soil, that they have the trucks they need to help put out the fires. We have also informed communities where we can, for example, where there's a Superfund site, where there's something that a junkyard is something that's going to open your community. Harris County stepping in and saying, hey community, this is happening, let us help you file, statements in opposition. We're working with industry to ask that they give us the information, doing really an inventory of what's out there throughout the county. But the truth of the matter is, and we've said this before, we're pushing against the very edge of the legislative framework, of the regulatory framework. If you guys remember the ITC fire, we were all there, massive plume, many days, untold environmental and human impacts, and our county attorney's office fought that as hard as they could. The most we could get in damages was $1 million, because that's the legislative cap. And so, I will always advocate for making sure that we have a level playing field, so that we're not disadvantaging the folks that play by the rules. But I think that's a longer conversation for another day. Today, we're very much in the midst of an active situation, a potentially dangerous situation. So just know that we're leveraging all of our resources. We are working closely with Dow. But yes, as we were walking out, we learned of another chemical. Yeah.
Were evacuated in the area. What's going to happen to those kids? And where are they going?
I don't know if folks have additional information. Yes. They did go by. Yes.
They went back. The kids are back.
Go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. Harris County Fire Marshal Laurie Christensen. Yes, ma'am. I was able to get this while we were here. The children did go back to the school, so that shelter in place has been lifted as of 10:40 a.m. for that area.
So it sounds like they were outside the perimeter that is of concern right now. There was another question. Yeah. The results right now are within the normal margins, and folks can see the readings in real time on readyharris.org. If we get a reading that is that is not within the normal ranges, we will announce that to the community. But it makes sense, we're not seeing that valve emanate any of that material anymore. So, it makes sense that nothing else is coming out. As to potential threats, there are a variety of chemicals. I'll let Dr. Babin add anything here if she has it. A variety of chemicals, the respiratory issues mostly, some environmental issues. It's the kind of thing that the longer if we get into a worst case scenario, then we would get into these conversations. So let's just hope that we don't. That's why we have the perimeter anyway. And if that comes to pass, we'll mention it to the community. But it would be mostly fire, the debris from that, and potential respiratory issues. That dissipates, and then within the circumstances, the less bad news is because this is within a sort of flammable situation. Burning these dangerous chemicals actually makes it less harmful compared to if it was just dissipating without burning. So that is but again, we don't want folks around that, which is why we've drawn this perimeter and asked people to evacuate. Do you have anything to add, Dr. Babin?
The only thing I want to add is if the continued exposure happens, we need to make sure that we watch our respiratory issues. And if there is a fire, please protect yourself. You can wear your mask to protect yourself, or just stay in your house so that you don't get exposed to the contaminants.
Can you clarify residents have to worry, just within that half-mile radius?
Right now, we've determined that a half-mile radius is sufficient, but if it looks like there needs to be an expansion of that, we will let the residents know.
And can you clarify what chemicals are on kind of the periphery of this fever? I didn't quite catch the name.
The chemical of concern right now is the ethylene oxide is one of those chemicals that are in the peripheral, but the one that is in the tank is the MMA and the HEA.
Talk a little bit about those chemicals, what they're used for, how they affect.
Dow informed us that those are chemicals that are used in plasticizers, and so we're just waiting for this to calm down and cool off so that it doesn't polymerize and create an explosion.
Any idea if this is either these chemicals or if they've been working with these chemicals?
To my knowledge, it's something that's been at the facility. That's a question that we would have to ask Dow of when they started using those chemicals.
What was the additional chemical you learned about right as you were
The additional chemical is ethylene oxide. We'll give more information as more information is made available.
So LaPorte Fire Department is the incident commander for the scene, and so Harris County, as Judge and Hidalgo and Commissioner Garcia spoke about, Harris County is wrapped up in what's called Unified Command. So our Harris County Fire Marshal's Office, Pollution Control, Public Health, we are all part of that Unified Command. So that being said, we have approximately 75 people on site. That is including the Dow facility and other people that are assisting with the response. We have about 15 pieces of equipment on site, and so we're monitoring it. Again, we have the drones in the air, and so what I would say is as information becomes available, we're very confident right now with us going over with the drones, being able to have contact immediately back to Incident Command. As we know something's going to possibly occur, they're going to be able to let us know. I'd also like to say that Dow has somebody within the Unified Command as well. So what I'll say here is the collaboration, the communication, the chemicals, the MSDSs, all those things are literally within that command vehicle right now. We were able to have the judge and the commissioner and Dr. Babin on a Zoom call where they were actually able to see some things. So we've come a long way, and I think what we're learning as responders is how can we better communicate so that we can get that information out. So as we know more, we will definitely let you know. Thank you.
But I don't want you to think there's an exhaustive list of the chemicals, because we have two facilities, right? Goodyear and the other facility, and Dow, and they have a variety of chemicals. Vinyl acetate, a lot of solvents, methanol. There's a lot of chemicals in there. Yeah.
Comisionado García, usted mencionaba que esta es una situación que ocurre en este distrito. ¿Qué tiene que cambiar y qué tan peligroso es cuando esto sucede?
Pues mira, estamos en la capital de la industria petroquímica, y esto es parte del riesgo y las complicaciones que llegamos a ver aquí regularmente. Pero precisamente por eso yo cuando entré más bien como comisionado, entré con una prioridad a enfocarme en el ambiente, asegurar que nuestra agua, nuestra tierra, nuestro aire siempre esté limpio y sano para la gente que vive alrededor de esta área. Pero estos eventos, como lo que estamos viendo ahorita, son parte del riesgo que tenemos. Son industrias complicadas. Está envuelto con ferrocarriles. Entonces, esto es parte de la complicación que tenemos. Por eso tengo mucho orgullo con el liderazgo de la jueza Hidalgo y con el programa que implementamos ya después del evento de ITC en el 2019. Ese evento llegó a desarrollar un programa junto con el American Chemistry Council, el Texas Chemistry Council, el East Harris County Manufacturers Association y nuestra oficina y el condado, en que ellos nos entregaron $1 million para poder comprar monitores de aire que son móvil y permanentes, y también trabajar con el Houston Advanced Research Center para tener un grupo independiente de cientistas que nos pueden realmente dar a los medios y a nosotros como gobierno información más exacta de los químicos que existen y que posiblemente están envueltos en estos incidentes, para que mejor podemos entender los riesgos que la comunidad llega a tener cuando estamos manejando estos eventos, o cuando llegamos a darnos cuenta de incidentes cuando se suelta algún químico en el aire. Pues, lo estás viendo trabajando. Ese evento que le llamamos CAMP, Community Air Monitoring Program, está funcionando ahorita a través de este incidente, y me da gusto que lo llegamos a implementar ya después del evento de ITC que causó tanto complicaciones. También quería mencionar que estuve en la capital de los Estados Unidos hace poco hablando con el presidente nacional del American Chemistry Council, y llegamos a hablar precisamente de lo que habló la jueza, que con tantos químicos que existen, ¿cuándo podemos tener mejor información más rápido antes de estos incidentes? Esa es una conversación, eso está envuelto en las complicaciones de la protección de las fronteras nacionales de los Estados Unidos, y tenemos que trabajar dentro los límites de las leyes que existen a través de eso, pero tenemos mejor relaciones con la industria que tuvimos anteriormente. Gracias.
Pues un poco más sobre lo que está hablando el comisionado García sobre este es otro evento de riesgo a la seguridad ambiental. ¿Qué esfuerzos está haciendo el condado Harris? ¿Están contemplando auditorías en esta zona de refinerías?
Sí, hemos trabajado mucho en los últimos años, una inversión histórica, alrededor de 12 millones de dólares, 12 millones para monitoreo ambiental, de aire, agua, tierra, durante estos incidentes. También trabajamos con comunidades, cuando van a llegar compañías contaminantes a cierta comunidad, le informamos a la comunidad, le ayudamos a llenar el papeleo hacia el Estado para intentar luchar contra eso. También estamos trabajando en informar a las comunidades que viven cerca de industria que ya existe para que al menos sepan que existe ese potencial de peligro. Y además estamos trabajando con la industria para saber antes de que haya un incidente, qué químicos existen. Eso es un proyecto que se está haciendo mano a mano con la industria. Es lo máximo que podemos hacer porque el marco legislativo es bastante limitante. Por ejemplo, vimos en el incendio de ITC en 2019 que hubo un incendio de casi una semana muy peligroso, muy problemático para el medio ambiente y la salud también. Lo luchamos en la corte, pusimos demanda como condado y finalmente solamente pudimos obtener $1 millón. Es una compañía multimillonaria, billonaria, daños obviamente a más de $1 millón, pero la legislatura estatal nos limitan, las leyes limitan los daños a $1 millón. Entonces, en conclusión, debe haber competencia, obviamente todos apreciamos la industria, son trabajos en la esencia de esta área, pero hay que haber un balance y hay compañías que quieren poner de su parte pero están en desventaja económica porque realmente las leyes no requieren, entonces pues debe haber un mejor marco regulatorio para que todos tengan que tener cierta responsabilidad social. Estamos haciendo todo lo posible como condado, pero necesitamos ayuda por parte de la legislatura estatal.
When was it last time that there was an incident with this company?
No, I will say in this area, about 25 years ago, there was an incident before it was this company. It was a different company, but it was a similar situation with a previous company. Yeah. I don't know how long it had been parked there, but I will tell you it was parked. There's 3 tanker trucks all next to each other. This one is the one with the concern, and then the other 2 aren't showing anything concerning, but they're right next to it. As far as how the rain might affect it, these are insulated, so I'll see if these folks have anything to add. But from my understanding, these are trucks that they drive on the highway, so that presumably they would be. They would be able to sustain that, but given the sensitive situation, I'm not sure. Is there, yeah.
We're putting water on it now to
Right.
suppress the fumes and to cool it down, so I don't think that the rain is going to really affect it. The only thing is we want to make sure that the runoff from what we're putting on it does not leave the contained area, so we're watching that and monitoring to make sure it doesn't.
Any other questions?
Well, just a thank you to everybody, including Dow and the emergency workers from Dow that are making their way into the facility right now. So thank you.